Welcome to Library Time with Mrs. Bradford Eagles. We are reading a book today called The Girl Who Named Pluto. And I thought this was a really fun book because I've always kind of wondered how or who named different things like stars and planets and things like this. And this is the true story of the girl who named Pluto. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. The Girl Who Named Pluto. The Story of Venetia, Burney. Written by Alice B. McGinty and illustrated by Elizabeth Hadel. Out of the classroom, down the hallway and out at the door, Venetia, Burney, and her schoolmates follow their teacher, leaving their British schoolhouse behind. It is the year 1930, and they are counting their steps from the sun, a circle drawn on their classroom blackboard. 39, 40, 41. Miss Claxton leads, her words as precise as her footsteps. At exactly 41 paces from the sun, they lay down a bird seed, Mercury. At 77 paces, they place a P, Venus. Next, a larger P, Earth. After placing a bead for Mars and an orange for Jupiter, the largest planet, they stop at 1,019 paces inside University Park. There they lay down a golf ball, Saturn. There are two more planets in the solar system, Uranus and Neptune, but Miss Claxton tells her students that they are too far away. She will let their imagination finish the planet walk. When Venetia and her friends return to the park, later with lumps of clay for the planets, they run counting paces to Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, all the way to Neptune. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Venetia's imagination whirls, trying to fathom the real distances. She has memorized each number. Stormy blue Neptune orbits 2.79 billion miles from the sun. And what lies beyond? How far does the solar system reach? Venetia brings her question to breakfast each morning, and Grandfather Madon answers as many as he can. She and her mother have been living with Grandfather since Venetia's father died. Old and stately like the Oxford Library, where he was head librarian, Grandfather knows the questions lead to learning, and his family is afire with learning. Along with the planets, Venetia is learning about Greek and Roman gods. When she reads about Mars, the Roman god of war, she was reminded of her great-uncle Henry Madon, a science master who named the two moons orbiting that planet. He chose Phoebus and Demois, Mars's twin sons, moons and planets named from legends. What a marvelous link between science and story. How many moons does Saturn have? Where did the name Neptune come from? Why is Atlas stuck holding up the heavens? Who was the first person to discover Mars? From the Roman god of the sea, 9 moons have been discovered so far because Zeus punished Atlas. Nobody knows, but Galileo saw it first by telescope. At breakfast one Friday, as Grandfather sifts through the newspaper, he starts to read aloud. A new planet discovery by Lowell Observatory. Professor Harlow Shapley announced today that the Lowell Observatory at Flagstaff, Arizona, had discovered a 9th major planet. The planet, which has not yet been named, is beyond Neptune. A new planet. Venetia leans forward in her chair, another lump of clay to add to their model. I wonder what it should be called, Grandfather said, his brow creased. Venetia's imagination takes off flying. Leaping, connecting the dots from science to story, she knows that this planet so far from the sun must be frozen, dark, and lifeless. It would be like the underworld. The underworld ruled in Roman mythos by Neptune's brother, Pluto. It might be called Pluto, Venetia says. Grandfather's eyes widen. He loves the name. He tells Venetia that he'll share his idea with his friend, Professor Herbert Hall Turner of the Royal Astronomical Society. Perhaps he has a say in the decision. After Venetia leaves for school, Grandfather writes his note. Dear Professor, blessed if my little granddaughter Venetia Burney didn't up and suggest a name which seems to me thoroughly suitable, Pluto. Sincerely, Madon. On his way to the library, Grandfather drops off the note at the professor's home. Meanwhile, not far away, Venetia and her schoolmates are buzzing with excitement about the new planet. They fire question after question at Miss Claxton. How was it discovered? By whom? How many billion miles from the sun? How many places beyond Neptune? Miss Claxton promises to find out. That evening, Venetia lies in her bed, her mind adrift with planet X. In the flurry of her thoughts spins one name, Pluto. Could it be the name for the new planet? Were the astronomers deciding now? Saturday morning dawns, and Venetia and Grandfather search the papers for information about Planet X. Mostly, though, they wait to hear from the professor. That afternoon, a response arrives. My dear Miss Anne, I got your note. On my return from London, I think Pluto excellent. We did not manage to think of anything so good at the Royal Astronomical Society yesterday. The professor's note goes on to say that he has written to the astronomers at Lowell about Pluto. It will be up to them to decide. A week goes by. At school, Venetia works on lessons in math, science, and history. At home, she and Grandfather keep busy reading, playing, and waiting. Will the astronomers like her idea? March turns to April, and Venetia waits. April drags on. Outside, the trees sprout leaves, and Venetia waits. If Venetia could see what was happening across the ocean, she would find that Pluto had made its way through the doors of the Lowell Observatory to Clyde Thornbaugh, the shy assistant who discovered Planet X. His first choice for a name? Pluto. Not only is it a perfect fit for this dark, icy world, but the first two letters are PL, the initial of the astronomer Percival Lowell, who began the search for the planet. Grandfather sends a check to Miss Claxton, thanking her for teaching. With the money, the school purchases a gramophone. I feel like I skipped something. Finally, at the end of the month, the astronomers vote. It's unanimous. The 9th planet will be named Pluto. When Grandfather shares the news with Venetia, she beams. Her eyes are radiant. Grandfather sends a check to Miss Claxton, thanking her for teaching. With the money, the school purchases a gramophone and names it Pluto. Venetia is a hero. As Venetia grows, Pluto tilts and spins in its long, slow orbit around the sun. It shares the outer reaches of the solar system with other spheres newly discovered by astronomers. Venetia gets older and older still. Her hair turns silver. And one gray July afternoon, the day before her 89th birthday, she travels to the Observatory Science Center near the southern tip of England. She has been invited to view Pluto through a telescope, her first time ever. It's raining, though, and it takes a clear sky to see the dwarf planet. But as Venetia nears, the rain stops and the clouds begin to part. A lovely sunset fills the sky. Later, the darkness twinkling with stars, Venetia and the scientists climb to the observatory's dome, where the 111-year-old telescope is waiting. The scientists locate Pluto, and Venetia puts her eye to the lens. By God, she says in an odd voice, there it is. The icy sphere is spinning 3.67 billion miles from the sun, many paces past Neptune, and its name is Pluto. Author's note. Venetia Catherine Burney was born in Oxford, England on July 11, 1918. This book closely follows her true life story, including her planet walk at school, her great interest in studying the solar system in Greek and Roman mythology, and her visit to the Observatory Science Center when she was older. Venetia did indeed suggest the name Pluto after her grandfather shared the article about the planet's discovery, and the letters from Professor Turner and the astronomer's decision process about the name are historically accurate. When I put these events into the story, I imagined how Venetia waited and how she reacted when she found out that her name, Pluto, had been chosen. What happened to Venetia in the years after she named Pluto? She grew up to become an accountant, working with numbers, and later math and economics teacher, pursuing her love of learning. She married Maxwell Fair, who studied the culture and languages of ancient Greece and Rome. Imagine the conversations they had. Venetia Burney Fair lived until the age of 90. She died in Surrey, England on April 30th, 2009. And what about Pluto? As telescopes became stronger, scientists found other key rocky objects in the outer reaches of the solar system where Pluto orbits. They named the region the Kuiper Belt. In 2005, an object that appeared to be larger than Pluto was discovered. The discovery was Chris, as it was named, led scientists to rethink the definition of a planet. In 2006, based on that now definition, scientists made the difficult decision to reclassify Pluto as a dwarf planet. In an interview with NASA, when Venetia was asked whether she was upset by the decision, she responded, "I suppose I would prefer it to remain a planet." Grandfather Madan understood the importance of Venetia's contribution to science. Along with his check to the school and his letter of thanks to Miss Claxton, he gave Venetia a £5 note, worth more than $300 in today's currency, and 2 scrapbooks of articles about Venetia and Pluto that he had clipped from newspapers. Venetia is the only child to have named a planet, and science has honored her for it. In 2006, when NASA launched New Horizons, a robotic spacecraft that would fly to Pluto and beyond, on board was an instrument named the Venetia Burney Student Dust Counter. It was the first instrument on a NASA mission designed, built, and operated by students. When New Horizons reached Pluto in July 2015, it photographed a large crater-filled area, which was named Burney Basin.